come to this?
Yeah, you know, Showtime, you know, they helped me get to where I'm at. You know, I couldn't thank them enough for giving me the opportunity to fight on Showtime, you know, and headline.
And what do you think, Moran next, unless the ruling changes? What do you think of him as a fighter? He's fought guys like Jose Pedraza and other top fighters.
Moran, he's a tough opponent. You know, I feel like he's going to bring out the best in me. You know, he went in there, he put up a good fight with Jose Pedraza. You know, it was a close fight on the scorecards, and it was actually a close fight. You know, so I feel like he's going to bring the best out of me, and it's going to be a good fight.
Now, Eddie, obviously the WBC has to make a ruling with Devin being at number 3. You mentioned a date of July 27th. Now, do you have a location or possible locations?
Not yet, no. It was due to be a Maurice Hooker fight card in Dallas, but we might move it to the East Coast, or, you know, we'll look wherever. We just got to really stay focused on May 25th. We've made it very clear to the WBC that we are available to fight for the title. Don't think that this is going to stop us from fighting for the title. So that's really the focus for Devin Haney, is to become WBC World Champion. We already have an agreement with both fighters to do that fight. I spoke to Luke Campbell this morning. You know, he wants to fight Devin Haney, and Devin Haney wants to fight Luke Campbell. It's a really, really good fight between two very skilled 135-pounders. So, you know, we feel like we can move straight into that fight with no obstructions, and hopefully we can get it over the line.
And it would be in the United States, it sounds like?
Yes, it would be, yeah.
Will Luke be in town this weekend?
No, he's not in town. He's training. You know, he's just started camp for that date. So he knows that fight's going to be in America. He's boxed multiple times over here. He had a great fight with Jorge Linares. It was very, very close. He boxed in Philadelphia a couple of months ago. So he has no problem with the fight being in America.
Now, you spoke on Devin Haney's work ethic last night. I was able to be in the gym, watch him train, and training along some of the top in the game. Talk a little bit about what that means for these young fighters to carry that work ethic.
Like where he is in the world rankings right now, and the level that he's fighting at 20 years old is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. You know, you've got a lot of these other guys who, you know, people are saying about they're the biggest stars and all this kind of stuff. They're not really putting the work in, and they haven't really experienced what he's experienced. And they're not 20 years old either. So he's right in what he says. Like, if you're going to fight Devin Haney, this is the time to fight Devin Haney. Because if he's doing this at 20, what's he going to be doing at 23, 25, 27? And sometimes the worry is he's moving too fast. You know, but that's how they want to move. And I don't tell a fighter how they move. They tell me how they want to move. And the training team and the management tell me how they want to move. And the instructions I'm getting is, let's go. Let's fight for the title. And listen, for me, that's a lot of fun. I don't really want to give him marking time fights. He don't want marking time fights. But at 20, normally, someone would say, oh, no, they need another 2 or 3 years. That's not even in the discussions. It's get it now. You know, when the Abdullayev fight fell through, Bill said to me, tell the WBC to make the next available. That's Teofimo Lopez. I said, Bill, you don't want to fight Teofimo Lopez for a final eliminator. He said, why not? I said, well, that's a big fight. Like, we could, you know, in time, no, get him now. Get him now. Like, that's the mentality of the team, and that's inspiring to work with, and it's great news for fight fans that this guy is willing to fight everybody now.
Now, when you say that you let the fighter tell you how he wants
100%.
to move, Tevin Farmer was actually in the gym with us last night as well, and Devin jokingly but also serious, he's like, I want to fight more than Tevin, and obviously Tevin's been very active since signing with you. Is that good? I mean, once you become champion, because it's like...
Activity is key for a fighter, right? So they want to fight as often as possible. It doesn't mean you should just fight and get tired and not be able to run proper camps. But you look, Tevin is a guy who, you know, we use as a shining example for what we're doing with Dazn. There's too many fighters out there who have been too inactive, fighting once a year, twice a year. You know, he should be fighting 5 or 6 times a year, even for championship bouts. You know, so he's 20 years old, but obviously his team will dictate to me how frequently he wants to box. The message I'm getting is very, very frequently, you know, and we have the platform, we have the dates where he can box, not just in the US, but in the UK. He's building a big fan base in the UK, globally as well. All his fights are going to be distributed to all our major networks around the world. We can take him anywhere in the world. Of course, US is the focus, but he has an opportunity and the ability to be a global star.
Now, Tevin, do you want to, or Devin, you want to fight in? You got me on that one. You want to fight in Vegas? As being that you live here, we haven't seen you
of
build
course.
a home
I was
base
actually
here.
supposed to be on this card against our Abdullah, but it didn't fall through. You know, he's pursuing Ramadan, as Eddie said. You know, but of course, you know, my time's gonna come when I'm gonna fight in Vegas, when I'm gonna be in a big fight in Vegas. So it's no rush. You know, when the time comes, I'm gonna be ready.
How involved are you in the promotional end of it? Because a lot of fighters do it, but they're more established. You're a young guy now, and you have to keep your eye on the prize. Is that going to take something away from you, maybe?
I don't think so. You know, like I said up there, you know, I'm very focused on the sport of boxing. You know, and that's pretty much it.
He's probably going to be signing a great talent roster. They've all been phoning him up since he signed, saying, "Get me a deal, get me a deal."
Yes.
So you know, I think he's got potential and build to, to guide these guys in the right direction.
Eddie, we hear often too much, you know, fighters not having the right promoter, correct? Perfect example, you know, Tevin had to go through adversity to get to where he's been at. Devin being self-promoted and working with you in a co-promotional deal. The promoter is important, but can you tell us how important it is, you know, for Devin and how great of, you know, his speaking skills and the way he carries himself, the way he's able to communicate. A lot of fighters aren't able to do that with media and press.
But at the end of the day, the way that you grow a sport, the way you grow your own brand, is to be an ambassador, is to have everything from being a cool guy, being inspirational, being aspirational, and being able to appeal to different genres, age groups, sexes, like everything. So like, I look at Devin in a way similar in many ways to Anthony Joshua, in that he's a guy that can appeal to everybody. So young guys, young little boys, little girls at school, I want them to be saying, I want to be like Devin Haney. Like, he's the cool cat out there in the division. He's the guy in boxing that and then people, older men, my age, looking at Devin Haney, he's the man. You know, women, oh my God, Devin Haney. Oh, I love Devin Haney. And they're turning up to shows. That's what Joshua's done. The grandparents, I love Joshua. Oh, Joshua. And that's what I think Devin Haney can do. To do that, you have to make him as accessible as possible. You have to make sure that we get him in front of you guys as much as possible. But when he talks like he does, he looks like he does, and he fights like he does, it's very easy. Because you haven't got to say, come on, you got to do this, you got to do. You just got to put him out there. And his skills will tell the story, but the way he talks, his own story. You know, he's, like I said up there, his work ethic. That's the one thing that inspires me a lot, because I'm going to be putting the hours in non-stop, not physically, but mentally and emotionally for Devin Haney. So there'll be times where I might not sleep for, you know, to make sure that I get deals done for Devin Haney.
You sleep?
Very rarely, but it's
barely
a bit, you know,
sleeps. She sleeps about an hour a night.
Exactly, that's right, because I'm motivated for my fighters. But you can only be motivated for your fighters when they motivate you. And when you've got a relationship with them where I want to do everything I can to give him the opportunities. As I said to him the other day, I can only give you the opportunities and then it's over to you. You know, Luke Campbell is with Matchroom, Devin is with Matchroom. And I said to both guys, like, I love you both. But here it is, the WBC have ordered it, may the best man win. But all we can do is give them the opportunity. The ones that have the greatness inside them will take advantage of those opportunities. But what we promise to our fighters is that we will do everything to deliver, put a clear path in front of you to achieve greatness. If you're good enough and if you have the work ethic, you will achieve it. It won't be because you didn't get the opportunities. And for an athlete, that is perfect to know.
Devin, you're in a sport of boxing. We have a lot of personalities and characters. You're 20 years old, but when someone talks to you, you're like a 60-year-old man. How did that happen?
I wouldn't say 60, but
No, I'm saying like you're very mature.
Yeah,
You talk like an adult.
yeah, I'm just mature for my age. You know, I got a good team around me. You know, I came through the amateur ranks, you know, through the Olympic system. So they taught me a few things, you know, and I don't know, what can I say? I'm just blessed.
5 years ago, I was at the gym with you and Floyd, and we sat down and had a good conversation. How much of an impact has Floyd Mayweather been on your career?
Oh, he's been a huge impact, you know, coming up from, you know, 8 years old to still to this day, you know, being around him, you know, is a blessing. You know, he's taught me so much in and outside of the ring.
What car are you buying now with the big check that Eddie just delivered? Do you have any
He's already got a nice car, I was in it the other day.
Maybe a Lambo?
Well, you know, after the fight, you know,
Bugatti?
right. Right now, you know, I'm just focused on the fight, and then after the fight, you know, I'm gonna buy me something nice. I don't know yet though.
I think it's always good in life to set yourself targets.
Yeah.
So you signed a big deal, but you haven't achieved anything yet,
Yes.
other than commercial.
Yes.
So the first thing is the title. When you win the title, then you get One of those things.
So then Eddie's gonna buy you a Bugatti.
And then steady, Eddie. But then when you unify, there's another thing. And when you become undisputed, that's when we're talking about blocks of houses rather than just cars and ice.
Eddie, you talked about obviously all the Dazn shows that you guys have planned. Devin's familiar with fighting all over. You know, early in his career in Tijuana, his last fight in Louisiana. What do you think he can do in the UK? Because when people talk about last week, it came up about, well, who's the biggest star in boxing? And somebody was arguing Canelo with you, and you were arguing for AJ.
Yeah.
Well, somebody could say maybe AJ on that end of the hemisphere, Canelo on this one. Do you feel like Devin could be on both?
100%. I mean, we need to develop him into a star. You know, we need to do things like, you know, if you look at the 40 Days program that was just built around Canelo and Jacobs, that was produced, that particular one, by LeBron James and Maverick Carter. We're working on one for the AJ fight now, which will be announced next week with two new massive name producers. These are the kind of names that we need to align Devin Haney with. We need to make Devin Haney the it guy for boxing. You know, the role model for US boxing. That's what we need him to be. And like I said, to make sure that he attracts all those different demographics that we discussed earlier. And you do that by aligning him to people. You know, you always see him shooting a music video with Pharrell the other night, and you know, he's got these rappers bringing him out, and big names want to watch him fight. And that's what you want. You know, you want those celebrities, you want those big names to say, oh, Devin Haney's fight, I want to go to that fight. Because if they're doing it, and it's cool to be doing it, trust me, everybody else is going to be doing it.
It's funny you say that about reaching out to different demographics, because last night, the USA card was originally targeted for May 18th in Chicago, and his last fight he had an artist from Chicago walk him out, a huge following out there, but that fight was in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is a huge military town. So when you talk about demographics, you know, he's reaching out to the hip hop, but then I also have military people reaching out to me. So,
of course, but you can't just say, oh well, we're just going to reach out to the
to
the hip hop fans.
He reaches out to everybody.
Yeah, of course,
he reaches out to everybody.
And as well, we've got to get him involved with promoting boxing in the US, being an inspirational figure, an ambassador for the sport. There's going to be times at press conferences where he's going to probably be rolling around and having a fight with someone. That happens. But generally, I would rather him to be a clean-cut guy who is an ambassador for the sport. He lives that kind of lifestyle. You're never going to see Devin Haney get in trouble because he's too focused on the sport of boxing. So for me, he is an inspiration to young fighters, young athletes coming through to have that mindset. But that's why I liken him to Anthony Joshua in that respect. I know AJ, there's nothing in AJ's life that he's more focused on than his job and the sport of boxing. It is 100% the only thing that's in his mind. And that's the same with Devin. And I love working with people like that because you know they're going to put in 100%, you're going to put in 100%. If they're good enough, like I said, they'll reach greatness.
Eddie, you mentioned about signing Devin and other fighters calling after that. Before you'd sign like Jesse Vargas and Tevin Farmer for Americans, do you think he's the one that's going to springboard?
He's a breakthrough for sure, yeah, because like, look, and he admits, you know, people were saying to him, don't sign with Eddie, don't sign with Dazn. Like, why would you say that unless you lived in fear? You know, why wouldn't you sign with Dazn? You know, they're paying great money, they're keeping you active, they're pushing your profile through the roof, they're giving fighters big opportunities. That's the most important thing to fighters. So, you know, now we've broken through that mould of, you know, and again, this isn't about, taking a Showtime fighter. We respect Showtime, and he respects them for what they've done for him as well. But it is, for us, a major signing of someone, you know, a young fighter that traditionally maybe wouldn't have gone with Matchroom and Dazn, and now has. But what's happening at the moment is every show that Dazn's doing, every fighter they're signing is just leading. You know, I was speaking to Mikey Garcia the other day. I first tried to sign Mikey Garcia last June. We hadn't signed one fighter. And he was looking at me going, who is this guy? Like, what is Dazn? I don't know. Now it's like, oh my God, it's Canelo Jacobs this weekend. Joshua's on Dazn. Usyk's on Dazn. Devin Haney signed with Dazn. You know, Rungvisai signed with Dazn. Demetrius Andrade signed with Dazn. Danny Jacobs signed with Dazn. Maurice Hooker signed with Dazn. Tevin Farmer signed with Dazn. Like, it's Bivol signed with Dazn. Like, it's non-stop, never ending. And now when you have a movement like that, the fighters that are a little bit unsure and being told, no, don't do it, no, don't do it, suddenly start going, actually, I want to find out a little bit more about this, because they don't even want you to talk to us. They're that afraid. So when you have a brain and you have a team that actually look out for a fighter, go, okay, let's just have a look what this is, because that's what Devin and Bill did. They looked, they liked, they thought about it, and they made a decision. So yeah, it's a big moment for us.
There's a lot of competition for his services, and
Massive.
a lot of
Every promoter,
competitors
every
don't
network
want
wants to
that.
sign Devin Haney.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it was a huge win. But we won't let him down, because he's put his trust in us. Just like I said to Danny Jacobs, was the first US fighter I ever signed. He put his trust in us. Saturday night we deliver. Now it's up to him, But we've given him everything. We've got him a fight for a world title. We've put him in the biggest fight in boxing. We've made him money he would never ever dream of. Then it's over to the fighters, But the fighters are the ones that there's no better spokesman for what we're trying to do than a fighter. So that's why you have to get their respect. That's why you have to deliver for them. I always say to fighters, speak to Danny Jacobs, speak to Tevin Farmer, speak to Maurice Hooker, speak to Demetrius. Fighters respect fighters. And in time, now, but especially in the future, I'll be saying to fighters, speak to Devin Haney. And Devin will go, these guys are unbelievable. Everything they've promised me, they've delivered and more. And that's all you can ask for, because there's nothing like word of mouth to recruit fighters.
Eddie,
What do you hope to learn on the promotional side from Eddie, watching him?
Whatever tips he can give me. Right now it's just the beginning, but I know he's a great promoter, and over time, he'll give me some things.
Was that part of the interest here, the ability to work with a promoter a little step above where you were?
Yes, of
learn to
course.
grow?
I want to get that big machine behind me, to take me to that next level.
Eddie, speaking to Devin, he said that one of the biggest pieces to him signing with Matchroom was the fact that you were more than willing to co-promote with Devin Haney Promotions. Was there ever a moment that you were trying to discourage that, because you said that you don't like?
I know nowadays that the game's changed, and that fighters now have their own promotional companies. They have their own brands. I think that it's not just about Devin Haney Promotions. It's about Devin Haney the brand. Right, so the promotional company, although it will be involved in decisions, we're going to be doing 99% of the work, which is good news for them, because trust me, you don't want to be doing that work, it's painful. But they will be massively influential into the decisions and the promotional decisions around Devin Haney. The legwork will be done by us. But it's more about, I don't know the future of Devin Haney Promotions, but Devin Haney Promotions is part of the Devin Haney brand. He's got a promotional company. He may have a management company. He may have a music company. He may have a production company. He may have a clothing line. These are all things that Bill and Robert will develop as a business. So they've done an incredible job to get to where they've got to, and they're bright enough to say, okay, we're still going, but now we need an engine. Like he says, when he's asleep, I'm the mouthpiece talking about Devin Haney. He can't do it all the time. As focused as he is, he's got to concentrate on his boxing. So our job is to and spread the word of Devin Haney.
What does it mean to you, knowing that obviously Joshua being your fighter, Canelo is with Dazn, so you're talking 1A and 1B as far as the biggest boxing superstars in the world.
The two biggest superstars in the sport, both with Dazn. So, and yet people will still say, you can't go with Dazn, you can't go with Dazn. So that's fine, but like I said, it's just a snowball effect with more and more fighters. It's a movement with more, and the movement is also happening that way with the fans. The fans are spending $80, $100 on a pay-per-view. Now, one night of that, one payment of that will get you Dazn for a year.
A year, $100.
It's madness. You've got Canelo Jacobs, you've got Joshua, you've got Usyk, you've got Triple G. Then what's going to happen in September? Canelo against Golovkin, Jacobs against Golovkin, Joshua against Wilder. Maybe Devin against Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko. He's going to be involved in massive fights on Dazn.
So the reason I was asking, because it's been said far too often that Devin is the next Floyd Mayweather. I think Devin is the next Devin Haney. What I'm getting at, obviously the vision is there for superstardom.
Yeah.
So
what Floyd has achieved may never be repeated. Right? It's sensational. But Devin has all the ability to do it. 100%. There's nothing wrong with being called the next Floyd Mayweather, by the way. I hope he does become Floyd Mayweather, but he is definitely the next Devin Haney. They're two very different people in terms of maybe work ethic, same, humbleness, maybe not. But you have to respect Floyd Mayweather in the ring, and you definitely have to respect him out of the ring in terms of his business moves and the way that he's promoted his career. He's achieved things that in and out of the ring that some people may never ever achieve. So if he is the next Floyd Mayweather, fantastic, but he's definitely Devin Haney.
I brought up a recent social media post that Devin posted, I want to say this week if I'm not mistaken, and he said not even 21 and already a millionaire. Yeah. And we were talking about that. As soon as I brought that up, he just smiled from ear to ear, and he was like, multi-millionaire. Talk to us about being able to change your fighters' lives. Obviously, we've seen it with Tevin.
It's not about me changing lives, it's about what they deserve, you know? So if you work from where he's worked from, which is the ground up, and you get to that level, there's nothing wrong with celebrating it. You know, he's not a show-off. You know, he's not arrogant, but he has realised that he has achieved what many people didn't think he would achieve, or many people can't achieve. But the work has only just begun. So it's all very well saying millionaire deals and all that kind of stuff. All true. And by the way, celebrate it.
Absolutely.
Because it's a wonderful thing that you have achieved this. But he knows deep down, we haven't even scratched the surface. Like, yet he hasn't been in a real fight, which he can't wait to be in. But he knows that what he's achieved so far, perfect. But it's just beginning the hard work now.
Devin, is it hard for you to remain humble? I mean, last night pulling up to the gym in a Maybach, I mean, we see you with the eyes, and you just signed this multi-million-dollar deal. Is it hard for you to, you know, obviously the hard work is still there, we see it, but is it hard for you to remain humble at all, or how do you balance the two?
I wouldn't say it's hard for me to remain humble because I'm just being me. I'm just being exactly who I am. I'm not trying to be Floyd. I'm not trying to be anybody. I'm just being me. So it's not hard to be yourself.
Thoughts on that, Eddie?
It's fantastic. Like I said, it's all very well achieving that, but really, don't want to be disrespectful, he hasn't achieved anything in boxing yet to the levels of what we want to achieve.
Absolutely.
So what he's done at the moment has been faultless, but the fun is just about to begin. And now we're going to see what Devin Haney is all about in all these big fights.
Last night we were, Tevin came to the gym as well. And we're like, oh, well, you're a champion at 30, you're at 35. But it was nothing but love and mutual respect between both of your fighters. They were talking a little bit. What's that mean to you? Like you said,
I love the fact that fighters within our stable have that respect for each other and drive each other on. Like Tevin's here today. He's come to this press conference because he's really happy for Devin. And there's too many people in life and in sport that actually, like there's a lot of people that begrudge Devin Haney, trust me, you may not see it, but there's a lot of people in the sport that will be thinking, why has he signed this deal? He ain't achieved nothing. But that's the problem with life, where really they should be going, wow, good luck to you, man. Like, I hope you do really well. And we want that from fighters. We want our fighters to push each other on, you know, because it is a movement. And I feel like, you know, with Matchroom and Dazn especially, we're kind of in this together. We're the outsiders, but now we're starting to take control. So we're all on the come up, but we're all out there trying to become number one. And, you know, Tevin being here and, you know, other fighters supporting each other is brilliant. I feel everybody in every industry should look at the promoters. All they do is hate on each other, and they don't have any fun. They're all bitter, and we really should be going. Someone just asked me, promoters are saying UFC shouldn't come into boxing. It'll be terrible. It'd be fucking amazing for boxing. I would love Dana White to come into boxing. It'd be massive for the sport. But people always live in fear and they're scared and they're bitter. They don't want anyone to have success. But, you know, you've got to stay focused. You've got to have a plan and a strategy, worry about yourself, and just keep believing in what you're doing.
Besides May 25th and potentially Canelo or AJ, are we going to see Devin Haney in anything but a main event?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, you know, even July 27 may end up being a main event. If he wins the world title, he's only main event. That's for sure. You know, because we need to make sure that Devin Haney is the superstar of the show.
Right.
And as soon as he wins a world title, he'll be 100% headlining every event. But he may even be headlining July 27. We'll see. I mean, the response has been incredible. So
we spoke about that last night, and he pretty much made that somewhat clear. You know, if it's a Canelo undercard, if it's an AJ undercard, that's a once of a lifetime.
Even those undercards, if you're trying to portray it, like Tevin said to me, please let me box on AJ's undercard. I'm like, mate, you're a headline fighter. You should be in unification fights. Am I? Demetrius Andrade said the same thing. Let me box on AJ's undercard. He's a WBO world middleweight champion. He's going to be headlining Providence. So Devin must be headlining his own shows. And listen, Vegas is going to be a big setup for him, especially when he has the belt.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share as always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.